Hello, and welcome back to Semi-Adult, a podcast all about attempting to navigate adulthood with your hosts, V
and Annie. So welcome back, guys. It's been a little bit. We've had some technical difficulties, some personal days. It's been a journey, but we're happy to be here, and we want to start with our weekly check-in. So V, do you want to get us started?
Yes, so as Ani said, it has been a journey. We have been taking a little hiatus, unexpected. We just had a lot of, Ani came to visit me with my mom. I had a girls' trip with my friends the weekend before, and actually this weekend, I have another friend coming to visit me. So girly has been booked and busy. I spent nearly 2 years seeing nobody, and now it's like trying to make up for lost time has really taken up a lot of time. But it has also been pleasant. It's been great to see everyone. I'm definitely exhausted. I think as I've gotten as I've gotten older, I have become, I'm a bit of an ambivert. I was a lot more of an extrovert in high school and college. And I've realized that post-grad life has made me more of an ambivert and closer to being an introvert, in that I'm just I get tired. I get real tired, and I just want to hang out by myself sometimes. And that's new for me because I've never really been an introvert. So it's taking some getting used to, seeing that I have to get some balance for myself. I have to have some me time so that I can enjoy my time with other people. So I'm trying to do a bit of that, which has been nice. At least during the week, I've just been chilling, working hard. But I took a bit of a break. We took a break from the podcast and also just from all of our ventures. We just needed a moment. Ani was starting a new job and I was just going through it. So that's basically what I've been up to. What about you, Ani?
Well, I have, as you said, I was transitioning in a new job, which is super fun, but is always just a lot to handle. It's in a completely different field, something that I've never done before, which is exciting. I love to learn new things, but it is an exhausting process to train in something new, acquire knowledge in a new field. So it's a journey, but I'm enjoying it, but I need sleep desperately. I also have been trying to make up for lost time, see people I haven't seen in a long time. I took 2 trips back to back, one to see some family with Ben, my boyfriend, and one with my mom to go see Vivi. And I worked in between those. Everything was just so stacked that I got to a point where I was like, if I don't stop and get some rest, I am going to be sick. My body is going to break down and kill me from the inside out. So I need to take a breather, get some sleep, take care of me, and do a healthy reset, which is what we're going to be talking about today.
Yeah, so today's topic is the relationship with your body. And that does tie into that because it's not just about body image. That is definitely important and a big stressor for a lot of us. But also just how you treat your body in general. Sleep is a part of that too. Relaxation, checking in on your mental. That's all a part of your body as well. And kind of what we'd like to start off with is the body image and such a focus on your weight as kids, because a lot of issues that we deal with now, the root is in our childhood, and that is the number one thing I've been learning in therapy. So take that with you and run with it, see where that takes you, kind of dive into your childhood, and you realize, oh wow, that's why I am the way I am. Very interesting. Not to blame my parents or anything, but tea. And
different things affect people differently as well.
Yeah, very true. It's kind of how you took what happened to you. And for us, we had a bit of a focus on weight as children, and it's something that we still struggle with to this day. I personally was always pretty skinny growing up, and because of that, a lot of people thought of me as skinny. That was the biggest thing about me, and everyone focused on it and we're always talking about it. And it made me feel like it was an integral part of who I was. And because of that, I felt like I wasn't allowed to break that mold and I wasn't allowed to gain weight because then I would stop being me. And that put a lot of pressure on me that I didn't even realize was affecting me so much in my subconscious. And I honestly feel like I had an undiagnosed eating disorder, just in the sense that like I ate so little bit and I like food disgusted me. And a lot of that probably had to do with the fact that I was afraid of gaining weight and not being myself anymore.
Yeah, I had the opposite experience growing up. It's funny because when I look back at my childhood pictures, at no point when I'm looking at like my childhood pictures, I mean like 0 to 18 years old, am I looking at that girl and being like, she's fat? Like, I looked normal, I looked healthy, and there were a lot of parts of my life where I was actually very thin, but I wasn't as thin as my sister, so I was the fat sister, and that was a major part of my identity. Like, it played such an enormous role in my life because people would always point it out to me. It doesn't matter who it was, doesn't matter where I was. People in my family and all levels of my family felt like it was okay to make nasty comments about it. And whether or not they felt they were nasty is a completely different story. But the way that they were received by me as a child was that shit hurt. That shit hurt. Okay. So, and I see it happen over and over again. Like I definitely was not the only person in my family that this happened to. And unfortunately, I don't think that I will be the last, even though it is a cycle that we're trying to break. As we've gotten older, we've been able to have really constructive conversations with our parents about this topic and, kind of just like lay it all out there and, talk about it. Because in my parents' eyes, what they were doing was stressing health to us, but they were not, the delivery of the message just wasn't there. It was not there. And emphasizing certain things about us just made us like hyper focused on something that we never knew was a problem to begin with. And that's really what V was talking about earlier, where a lot of the issues that we have as adults are deeply rooted childhood traumas. And I feel like people hear the word trauma and they're like, don't be dramatic, this or that. But trauma is different for everyone. There's different levels to it. And something traumatizing you doesn't mean that the person who delivered that wanted to hurt you in that manner. It just affected you in that way.
And you might be wondering why we're bringing in this issue and like how this relates to adulthood. And a lot of it is that adulthood is recognizing generational curses and traumas that you have internally and taking responsibility for the healing process. You may not be responsible for that happening to you and for you feeling that way or being that way, but you are responsible for your own healing journey because no one else is going to do it for you and no one else can do it for you. So a lot of what our adulthood so far has been is confronting those feelings, confronting those truths that are uncomfortable and don't always feel great to ruminate on, but it is important and it'll help you grow out of that. And the healing is possible. We're still on the journey. I'm not here to say that girly is perfect and that we're thriving, but I am on the healing journey. And a lot of that has been the way I view exercise and eating healthy and just like health as an umbrella, as being something that I do to be kind to my body and to treat my body well versus as a way to achieve thinness or weight loss. And a lot of that is just perspective, changing your perspective and changing how you treat yourself. And that's an important way to be a fully functioning, healthy adult.
Right. And I also feel that having the ability to discuss these things with the people that maybe caused the hurt to you in the first place allows for you to grow and that person to grow. And I truly feel that opening the floor to those conversations that are less than comfortable. And sometimes, parents don't want to admit fault, and it's hard for children to grow up and see their parents as just people who have flaws, people who can make mistakes. But And parenting doesn't come with a handbook. I think we've said that in other episodes. Like, everyone just kind of gets this kid and they're like, okay, let's do this. And they do the best they can with what they know. But I really believe that opening the floor to these conversations allows you to break generational curses that have affected your family for years and years and years. And you can stop that going forward, even if you don't have children of your own at the time, for your cousins and the people that surround you, because there are still younger people in your family, most likely, or people that will soon come into your family, and they don't deserve to suffer the things that you have suffered, especially when you're at a place where you're conscious enough to realize what's happening and how to deal with it.
And healing is not easy. I'm not going to pretend that it is. A lot of people talk about healing and how important it is. And it is, but a lot of people don't talk about how hard it is, and that a lot of healing is kind of confronting the things that you've been avoiding, because it is easier to avoid thinking about your relationship with your body and just kind of like sticking with what you know. And sometimes it's even easier to stay with that because that is what you know. That flow feels natural to you, even if it's a toxic flow. So I really do believe that it's worth it. And you're just going to have to know that it's going to be hard work. It's going to take a process, and it's going to take time, and just be patient with yourself. Healing is not linear. It's going to take you on a journey, and sometimes you're going to have bad days where you are overly focused on what you look like and are in the mirror. Like, I know for me, at least, the reason why we wanted to bring this up is because, you know, it's summertime now, and there's always the focus on beach bodies and getting the perfect beach body. And like, it's hot outside, and I just want to wear a crop top because I want to wear a crop top, not because I love the way I look in it, and I want to be able to feel comfortable in the way I look in it, you know? And that's something that I've been facing for the first time for myself this summer, is that I don't feel comfortable with how I look like. Quarantine got me good, that quarantine weight, and I'm getting to know a new body, or a new version of my body. And that version, I don't really feel comfortable wearing crop tops in. And that's basically what I lived in for the majority of my life. So it's hard for me to come to terms with what I look like, and wearing stuff that exposes my body doesn't always make me feel good. But I want to be able to do that more because it's hot, and I deserve to wear clothes that are not going to make me sweat. And I shouldn't punish myself for looking a certain way, because every body is a beach body. Go to the beach and you got a beach body. That's really all that it is. And I'm teaching this to others as I'm also learning it myself. So I don't ever want to come across as like girly got it all together, because that is not helping anyone. And I want you to know that we're on this journey together, that I understand what it feels like to not love what you see in the mirror. And it doesn't feel good. It's a weight that you carry all the time. This like self-consciousness is truly a weight, like, and it takes up so much space in your brain that it just does not need to. I sometimes think about all the things I could do with that brain space. Like, I could have a master's degree. I could have 2 masters. Like, if I could just take away my self-consciousness, like just thinking about what I look like at all times.
Right. And I think that a lot of the work that needs to be done in a relationship with your body is really the conversations that you have with yourself internally. I think that a lot of people tend to overlook that, and that has personally made a huge difference in my life. I think that if you can just take a moment to just stop and listen to your thoughts and listen to what you're saying to yourself, the little comments that you make as you go through your day, as you're looking at yourself in the mirror when you're getting ready, and listen to what you say to yourself, and really take a step back and think, like, would I say that to my friend? Like, would I say that to Vivi, for example, if she was standing in front of me and I was looking at her instead of me? Like, if the answer is no or absolutely not, then you have work to do, and that alone will make a huge difference in how you see yourself. It's really like, you know, in the movies when you have that moment where something seems like larger, or it kind of like expands the view. It's like, and suddenly there's like, something just looks very small, and you see the perspective for what it is all the way up here. That's kind of what happens to yourself that's kind of what happens to you when you change the conversation you have with yourself. You kind of expand and see how small the things you were fixating on were and how insignificant they were and how other people view that differently. And once you speak to yourself in a kinder voice, you truly learn to love yourself deeply, and you learn to analyze like where these things are coming from. And if you don't think that some of it stems from your childhood, take a deeper look, because most of it does. Me, for example, a lot of my internal conversation that I had to work on was my conversation regarding my body. And I realized that anytime that I looked at myself in the mirror, it doesn't matter how much I love my outfit or whatever it was, I always had something negative to say about my body. And when I took a step back and I thought about why, that came from the things that I heard said to me as a kid. And if I didn't like it coming from someone else when I was a child, why would I allow myself to speak to myself in that manner? You're supposed to be your own best friend. You're with yourself 24/7. You can't escape yourself. You have to be kind to yourself in order to heal. You have to nurture yourself.
Yeah, being focused on it's interesting how those voices in your head are really the voices of what people have told you in your past. And that's also why we should be kinder to others, because you might think it's like an offhanded comment that you're making, but that can really stick with someone for years. And a lot of what does stick with people is the negative stuff, unfortunately. I wish we could remember all the good things people say about us instead, but that is not how the brain works.
But also, when you look at the people who say those things to you and you really look at them, you realize that that's a reflection of their own internal conversation as well, because they're not being kind to themselves, so they really can't be kind to others. And I'm not saying that these are people that are like beating you up in life. Like, sometimes it comes from people who do love you, and it's nothing to do with how much they love you. It's just that is how they talk to themselves, so that is how they're going to talk to you.
And it has nothing even to do with you. It has to do with themselves and how they view themselves. A lot of times it's just projecting how they feel, especially on weight, like focusing so much on food. They're focusing on what you're eating and how much you're eating because that's how they feel about themselves and what they're eating and putting in their bodies, because they want to achieve thinness. So, and I hate that concept of like achieving it. It's not something to achieve.
A lot of that also comes from the media that we've consumed. Just like in the 2000s alone, like let alone like delete everything before that. The 2000s, like we just saw like the most crazy, unattainable, unrealistic bodies on TV. Bodies that were being like altered by the knife and this and that. And a lot of people don't admit to that kind of stuff. But if you don't admit to it, you are also part of the problem, because you are having people strive for something that they can never achieve, and you're setting them up to fail.
That is 1,000% the truth. Like, I'm all here for changing your body to make you happy, if that's what makes you happy. But it's when you start to lie about it to other people, that's something that I do have an issue with, because you are literally setting unrealistic standards that cannot be achieved naturally. And it's something that is not accessible to everyone. Not everyone has the money to drop on a BBL. So... which is funny because BBLs have like been like everyone's talking about BBLs because everyone's getting them.
They're so crazy dangerous though, and like a lot of these people pay so much money, take such high risk for these surgeries, and they're not even taking the time to take care of their bodies. Like, you can get your BBL, but if you keep eating like caca, you gonna look like caca once again. Like, I don't know what to tell you. It's only gonna work for so long. And if we focus less on aesthetics and more on health, we would also be happier people. Health is wealth.
Yeah, that is so true, because there's different ways that you can lose weight, and some of them are not going to make you healthier. And that should be more so the focus of health. And like being healthy looks different on different people. Some people are naturally
Say it one more time for the people in the back.
Honestly, that is something that people don't understand, is like being healthy looks different on different people. Like, that is so important, because you're going to try to achieve what someone else's healthy looks like, and that's not healthy for you to be at that point. As long as you are nourishing your body, listening to it, and feeding it things that are actually good for it. Like, girlie needs some vitamins, And believe me, I love my gummy vitamins, but it's more important for me to actually eat healthy things and naturally consume vitamins than to be taking those. I'm just doing that because, we're on the journey, okay? I didn't say I was perfect, but we definitely should be doing more for ourselves, because it doesn't just affect your body and what it looks like. It also affects how you feel physically and emotionally. A lot of research connects the gut with the mind, and like how you feel emotionally and mentally having to do with the gut, and that's what you're eating. And so if you look at food more like medicine, it changes the way that you look at what you should eat.
Yeah. And it also just improves your relationship with food and your body all around. I feel like it's a win-win. You can't really go wrong with that.
Yeah, and that's the growth that we're looking for. The growth we're looking for is to learn to accept ourselves in our various sizes and weights, understanding that not everyone was made to look the same, and you shouldn't want to look like everyone else. Like, that's absolutely boring. And that it's important to have a healthy relationship with food and nutrients in general, like, and exercise, just the things that are good for you, treating your body right.
Having a healthy relationship with yourself.
That's so important. It's going to change so much of your life, and we're on that journey. Don't you worry. But even for ourselves, like when I switched to eating vegan, not that I'm saying that everyone should be vegan or needs to be, but it was such a change for me, because a lot of the unhealthy food that I was eating had dairy products in it. So in cutting that out, it was like stopping me from eating pizza and mozzarella sticks every single day, which I really needed like a hard stop on that, because that was basically all I was consuming was like mac and cheese, mozzarella sticks, and pizza.
I was consuming like a gallon of milk every 2 days. Like I want to throw up when I think about that sometimes. Like now, years down the line as a vegan, and again, we're definitely not saying that people have to be vegan or that's the way. It just happened to be something that worked for us, but different bodies, different diets, different lifestyles. But honestly, even if you do consume dairy and that does vibe with your body, the amount that I was consuming was not healthy for anybody, okay? Not even a baby calf.
Nobody should be vibing with that.
No. I'm disgusted by myself. But you live and you learn, Would I ever do that again? Absolutely not. You can't pay me.
You can't. I think about that and I'm like, no, no thank you. And just the way I used to eat and not move ever, like how was I living? And I was skinny back then, so that just goes to show that it's not always tied to health, and it's not, you shouldn't just be focused on like, oh, I want to achieve this certain body type. No. I would get sick all the time. I had a super weak immune system because I consumed 0 vitamins. I was just constantly eating like shit, and I was not exercising at all. And believe me, I understand how hard it can be to change those things, because I have constantly struggled with that, especially exercise. I just get so bored exercising. It's unreal, but you just have to find something that works for you. Like going on walks. Like nobody said you had to run on the treadmill, because believe me, I won't do it. But go on a walk around your neighborhood every day. Like go do a little like dance, put on some music and just dance like nobody's watching, because hopefully nobody is watching. Just sit in your room, so that you can really like do it freely, because otherwise I feel like we get too self-conscious and be like a little like, nah, just put on that music and vibe, listen to it, dance to your heart content, and do that for like 15 minutes every day. As long as it's something that makes moving your body exciting for you or fun for you, and like get a friend involved.
Yes. So with that, we're going to wrap up today's episode, and we hope that you guys enjoyed. Leave us some comments about things that you want to change with the relationship with your body, if you're comfortable doing that, or if you just want to give us some suggestions for future episodes. We always appreciate that. Thank you guys for listening. We love you. And until next time, bye.
Bye.